You know, I out of all of the professions that I've encountered that are the least trustworthy, I will say education and teachers probably would be at the number one, or maybe even close to the number one spot. But as far as what I'm thinking right now, it'd be the number one spot. And don't get me wrong, I do think that there are a lot of great teachers out there, but I have seen far more bad teachers than I have seen good ones. Coming from someone who worked for the Department of Corrections for many years, we have an education department. Teachers, we could not keep teachers in the Department of Corrections because of unethical and questionable behavior. Every week, we had teachers walked off of the premises in handcuffs. For most of the time, it was sexually inappropriate behavior, but sometimes it would be for bringing in contraband. And don't get me wrong either, because I think that people in a lot of fields do things that are inappropriate, and can be boundary violations, ethical, moral violations. But one of the things that I've noticed about the most with teachers in my profession, that makes them sort of stand apart is when you have teachers that are self-serving. They don't give a damn. They will risk everything. So whereas what I've seen in most professions, a lot of other professions care about their licenses, they care about, my husband or my wife finding out and blah blah blah. In the case with teachers, they're like, I'll risk it all. Like, I don't care how it makes me look. I don't care who knows. I don't care if there's coverage. I'm willing to walk away from everything just to have this validation from this person. That's what I've seen. So like, the famous case of Mary Kay Letourneau is what comes to mind. And I think I'm bringing her up not necessarily to talk about her, but just because that behavior is not uncommon. And from what I've seen with teachers, it's like, yep, I'm gonna marry this person, we're gonna be in a relationship, and I'm willing to walk away from a family and kids and the life that I've started, and I don't care about the consequences, even if I have to go to prison and things like that. That happens a lot with teachers. And I can say that from not just my professional career, but even when I was in school, especially with physical education teachers that interact with students a lot on a physical level and have that up close and one-on-one time. And this happens equally for both males and females. And I remember we used to have, when I was a kid in school, there would be like this female gym teacher that would come in the locker room and want to see the girls change and things like that. And she was very aggressive about it. But yeah, teachers, it happens a lot too. And again, I would say that, a lot of times when this happens, colleagues and others usually see it. They may even report it. But teachers are very overt. They don't care who sees. And that's usually, in my opinion, that's kind of what sets them apart from other people that I've seen, where they try to be a little bit more covert, or under the radar, or at least aware of the ramifications, especially if you're working with children, where you can get charged as a sex offender. I've seen teachers throw it all very like callously and be like, I don't care if I'm in the paper, I don't care what happens as a result of my behavior. I don't care about the consequences. I want what I want. And there are so many cases of that's documented. And I don't know if it used to be whenever a teacher would do things, it would be like in the paper, like it would always be something that's public, in like more of like a public shaming. And I think a lot of career professions have this, including mine. I don't know if they still do it for teachers, but like even with my profession, like for counseling associations and psychological associations, they publish, I think it's a quarterly or monthly publication, where it's like people who've committed the following infractions upon their license, or they've done the following things. And it has your picture and it has everything that you've done, and how you got into trouble, what the consequences were, and so forth. But yeah, every week in corrections, could never keep a teacher. It would be, it's pretty much like a revolving door. So I don't know if any other correctional facilities in other states have had this issue, but even just with children, and even this just came to me, even when I was in high school, I remember there was like a huge scandal with like a teacher and some female students where he basically got caught with inappropriate behaviors and things like that. Other inappropriate behaviors that I've seen with teachers, especially with Black students or students of color, where you have a white student, they're very harsh with their penalties, what they say, the feedback, and wanting to fail a student. I don't know how that works now because I know we're under the No Child Left Behind, but I remember that happening a lot back in my day, where they would want to keep students behind, want to fail, or they wouldn't judge, they wouldn't grade with the same criteria that they graded with white students versus non-white students. So I don't know if that's still a thing.